Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to break down Robert Sternberg's pretty influential Triarchic theory of intelligence. Now, this model really challenges the old-school ways of looking at IQ by giving us a much more complete and frankly realistic view of the human intellect.
So let's start with the question that really got Sternberg thinking. For a long time, we've sort of equated intelligence with scoring high on standardized tests. But think about it. Does a single number, a single score, really capture everything it means to be smart?
You see, Sternberg's big idea wasn't to just throw out all the old theories. He actually thought they were on the right track, but he saw them as just, well, incomplete. He wanted to build on them to create a bigger, better framework that explains how intelligence actually shows up in the real world.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at the limits of traditional IQ models. Then we'll dive into the three main parts of Sternberg's theory, and we'll wrap up with his idea of what he calls successful intelligence.
All right, first up, beyond traditional intelligence. Sternberg noticed this major gap between the kind of problems you solve in school and the messy, complicated challenges we all face in our actual lives.
And he drew a really important line in the sand here. On one side, you have analytic problems, the kind you see on a test. Someone else sets them up for you, the rules are clear, and there's usually just one right answer. But then you have practical problems. These are fuzzy, not well-defined. You often have to figure out what the problem even is before you can start solving it, and there could be a bunch of different right answers.
Okay, so to bridge that gap, Sternberg proposed his three-part theory. The framework is made up of three different but totally interconnected sub-theories, and together they give us a much fuller picture of what intelligence is.
And the key word here is interaction. Sternberg was really pushing back against the idea of a single G factor, or one general intelligence. His model says that to really get it, you have to look at how these three different types of intelligence work together. This table gives us a great bird's-eye view of the whole theory. You can see the three pillars: componential, experiential, and contextual. Each one has its own key parts, which we're about to dive into right now, starting with the componential. So, let's get into that first sub-theory, the competential. This is what most of us think of as analytical or book smarts. It's all about the internal mental machinery we use to process information and solve academic-style problems. Sternberg breaks this down into three parts. First, you've got metacomponents. Think of these as the CEO of your brain, planning, monitoring, and evaluating everything. Then you have performance components, which are like the employees who actually carry out the plans. And finally, the knowledge acquisition components are like the R&D department, always learning and storing new information. Now for the second pillar, the experiential sub-theory. This is where we get into creative intelligence. It's all about how your own personal experience shapes how smart you are. Basically, this part of intelligence is about how you connect what's inside your head with what's happening out in the world. It's your ability to face a totally new situation and creatively use what you already know to figure it out. It's the engine of insight. And there are two sides to this coin. The first is novelty, how well you handle something you've never seen before. The second is automation. This is your ability to do familiar things almost on autopilot, which frees up your brain power to focus on the newer, harder stuff. Our third subtheory is the contextual one. This is what grounds intelligence in the real world. It's all about practical application, about how we thrive in our own specific environment. Yep, you could just call this practical intelligence or street smarts. It's that know-how that helps you find a good fit between who you are and what the world is demanding from you. It's about knowing what to do, where to do it, and then actually doing it. So how do we make that happen? Sternberg says we have three main strategies. First, you can adapt. You change yourself to fit the environment. Second, you can shape. You change the environment to fit you. And third, if those don't work, you use selection. You find a whole new environment. Let me give you some quick examples. Adaptation is as simple as putting on a coat when it's cold. Shaping could be a teacher making a new rule so the classroom runs more smoothly. And selection? That's a big move, like someone deciding to immigrate to another country for a better life. All of these are practical intelligence in action. So, now that we've looked at the analytical, creative, and practical pieces, we can put them all together to understand Sternberg's ultimate idea: successful intelligence. And here's the main point, the big takeaway. For Sternberg, truly intelligent behavior isn't about being a genius in just one of these areas. It's all about finding a balance between your analytical, creative, and practical skills to go after your goals.
So success, according to this theory, is about using this whole toolkit. You use your analytical side to weigh your options, your creative side to dream up new possibilities, and your practical side to make it all happen. And really importantly, it's about knowing your own strengths and weaknesses and figuring out how to play to your strengths.
And this leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to chew on. If intelligence is really this rich, balanced combination of skills, then maybe we need to rethink how our society defines things like achievement, talent, and potential. It really opens the door to a much broader and more inclusive idea of what it truly means to be successful.